One of them is a happy ghost, and one of them is a not so happy ghost. I'm kind of wondering why we have a sad ghost. Well, the answer is going to be revealed by our invisible ultraviolet light. Well, hi everybody. Welcome to the Halloween edition of MSC Explains. Mr. Pete's here to tell you about a phenomenon known as fluorescence. This is the time of year where black lights and makeup and decorations that are glowing in the dark are around us in all different settings. And I'm going to explain how that glow-in-the-dark piece works, because it's known as a phenomenon called fluorescence. And fluorescence works like this. This is the spectrum of visible light. This is all the light that we can see. Our eyes respond to red, orange, yellow, green, blue, color called indigo, and violet. And way out either end of the spectrum, there are invisible colors, things that we can't see. Our eyes don't perceive them. Some animals can see them, some insects can see them, but we don't see them. And one of those colors that is invisible to us is out here beyond violet. It's called ultraviolet. Now, the difference between these colors is a difference in frequency or the vibration of the light. And another way to think about that is the wavelength of the light. So red has a longer wavelength than orange, has a longer wavelength than yellow, has a longer wavelength than green. And by the time you get all the way here to violet, it's a very short wavelength. And so to get beyond violet to ultraviolet, we have very short wavelength indeed. Now, it happens that that wavelength is also a measure of how much energy is present in these colors. And so ultraviolet light has much more energy than red light or any of the other colors in the spectrum. Now, that extra energy is the critical piece of explaining how this fluorescence works, because that glow-in-the-dark phenomenon comes about from the extra energy of ultraviolet light, invisible to us, but not invisible to some kinds of chemicals. So let's explore ultraviolet light with an ultraviolet light source. Well, I have here an ultraviolet light source. This is a lamp that produces ultraviolet light, and remember, I said it's invisible. Another name for this kind of lamp is black light. It's kind of a strange name when you think about it. Black and light. Usually light is bright, and we know that white light is made of all the colors of the spectrum. Well, this particular light, the ultraviolet light, this black light, only glows in two colors. Now, I did say the light was invisible, but you can probably see that there's a purple glow here. And that's because this ultraviolet light source produces not just ultraviolet invisible light, but also some purple visible light. But it's the ultraviolet light that makes the effect of fluorescence possible. So that's what we're going to share with you when I move my ultraviolet light over here and we take a look at two Halloween ghosts. So we have two Halloween ghosts here. One of them is a happy ghost, and one of them is a not so happy ghost. I'm kind of wondering why we have a sad ghost. Well, the answer is going to be revealed by our invisible ultraviolet light when we turn this on. I think you can see instantly that our happy ghost has a brand new ghost sheet. And that's why he's happy, because the sad ghost, well, looks like he needs to change his sheet. The reason this happy ghost has a clean ghost sheet is because this sheet has been soaked in a chemical that absorbs the ultraviolet light energy and changes the ultraviolet invisible light into a bright white invisible light that you can see with your own eyes. And here, this ghost has, well, no chemical in the sheet, so the sheet doesn't glow. Now, you can buy detergent. You don't need ghost detergent here, but you can buy detergent that promises to make your clothes brighter than bright and whiter than white. And that's because those detergents carry inside them a chemical very similar or identical to this one that makes this one glow white and bright. But here's a question. When you're not underneath ultraviolet light, what's making your clothes glow white and bright? The answer is the sun, because sunlight includes all the visible light that we know, but it also includes ultraviolet light. And that's why the sun has enough energy in the sunlight that reaches Earth to cause things like sunburn or fading colors in carpet, fabric, even on the bulletin board at school where construction paper fades. So we have a special source of ultraviolet light that I can turn on and off and use it to put the extra energy into the dye that's in this sheet. Now, it's not just dyes that glow under ultraviolet light. There are even parts of you that will glow under ultraviolet light. If you ever get underneath some ultraviolet light, like here at the Science Center in the ultraviolet hallway, if you don't have painted fingernails, check it out. When you get your fingernails close to ultraviolet light or underneath enough ultraviolet light, your fingernails will glow softly green. And if you have painted fingernails, you can try looking at your teeth. It's hard to see your own teeth, but get a partner and look at theirs and you'll see that their teeth glow softly green as well. And here's one of the weirder ones. Whenever you're around ultraviolet light, if it feels like there's this funny purple haze that makes it hard to focus or see things clearly, the reason is because inside your eye there's a gel called the vitreous humor, and it also glows under ultraviolet light, but it glows purple. So if you ever see somebody looking at you under ultraviolet light, sometimes you can see some purple light coming out of their eyes. Very strange. Well, thanks for listening to our Halloween edition of MSC Explains. And while you're out there trick-or-treating, watch and look for sources of ultraviolet light so you can try some of these experiments on your own.